Welcome to my channel. This is Homeschool On. My name is Rebecca Spooner. I am blogger, author, speaker, writer over at homeschoolon.com. And today I have a really exciting review for you guys on Spelling You See. This is the spelling curriculum that we have used for years and we love, and we're pretty much diehard fans. So I'm gonna show you inside two different levels, show you what it looks like, how it's set up, why it's such a good fit for our family, and hopefully help you make your own curriculum decisions a little bit easier this year. All right, so if you're not familiar with Spelling You See, I'm going to give you a quick overview before we get started with what's inside. First of all, this is a spelling curriculum. It starts at level A, it goes up to G. So there are quite a few different levels. It takes you to spelling fluency, essentially. It takes you to the place where your kids have all the strategies and tools in place to figure out the spelling of words, and it's done in a really unique way with copywork and with identifying different blends in the words, and it brings in visual and it brings in hands-on, and it caters to multiple learning styles. It's so well done. It is done by the same publishing company as Math You See, so that's where you're probably recognizing the name from. It's Demme Learning, and they are the publishing company that have put this together, and it is just an amazing, amazing, amazing program. So I'm going to show you inside and talk a little bit about the layout, how it works, and why it is such a phenomenal program and works so well and has been proven so successful in teaching kids spelling in really what's quite a unique way from traditional spelling curriculums. So first of all, why do you need a spelling curriculum? You might not. It depends on your kids, it depends on how their spelling is and where they're at. Some kids just pick up on spelling so naturally. They're avid readers and writers, and they don't actually need anything too detailed to help them with their spelling. Most of us, myself included, need a little help with our spelling, and so sometimes it helps to have something to just give them that extra push. And what's great about this is you don't have to use it all the way through. You just use it until they're at the level where they can figure out words on their own, and they're going to be strong spellers for the rest of their life. And I feel like that's just such a gift to give our kids, because there are a lot of people that are adults that struggle so much with spelling, and it can be something that's embarrassing. It can even be something that affects the kind of jobs that you can get. Spelling You See, what makes it so unique, what makes it so different, is that most curriculums or programs or spelling, anything that you will see out there is list style. That means they give you a different list every single week. You work on your list, and it's drill and build. And so your kids are going to be drilled on these spelling words all week long, and at the end of the week you're going to read the list and they are going to write it. Now that can work for some kids, that can work, and that is how most of us were taught. What it does not do is it does not actually attach any meaning to those words for us. It is not fun, it's not engaging, it's not necessarily something that is remembered long past the test. So what you'll sometimes see in students is where they're doing really well with spelling and they pass their spelling test, but then a week later they're struggling with the same words. So while it can work, it takes a lot of repetition, and our kids can start to really hate spelling and therefore really hate writing, which is the real tragedy. So I feel like what makes this so unique and so fun and such a great addition in our homeschool is that it's not laid out that way at all. Your kids don't even realize they're doing a spelling program other than the fact that there is spelling written on the front cover. There are a number of different components to Spelling You See. It comes with, for the first level, A, it's one student workbook, a teacher's guide, and they're gonna need some colored pencils. If you get the universal set, it comes with everything that you would need in one pack, including your colored pencils, and these are erasable, which is great. So the universal set includes everything. It's also sold individually because a lot of families will do this with multiple kids or pass it down where they have their teacher's guide and they just need another student workbook. So it's broken up, or you can get them together, but the universal set is what you're going to look at if you're new to Spelling You See and you want something that has everything that you need. Level B all the way up to the end has 2 workbooks. So that's because now they're doing 2 pages a day. It's double the amount of work, and therefore we need more space for them. So the first half of the year they're going to work in part 1, and the second half of the year they're going to work in part 2. Do you need your instructor's handbook? Why, yes. Yes, you do. You really do need this. For the younger grades, there are basically blank boxes, and you have no idea what to put in those blank boxes unless you have your handbook. So you really do need this. This has all your dictation passages. So level A, it's working more on the phonics connection with the words. So we're working on 3-letter words, and it is actually dictation copywork. However, once you get to B, especially the second half, the first half incorporates both, the second half goes right into it. You start to get into the flow of the Spelling You See program, which is where the first page, they're going to be reading a passage. They're going to mark different vowel blends, consonant blends, and identify them within the passage. Then they're going to copy the passage. And then as they go through towards the end, they're going to have on day 5 dictation copywork. So now I'm going to dictate it to them and they're going to write it. Unless I want to open their book and rip out the page that has the words that they are actually supposed to be writing, then I need my instructor's handbook, because I can see the passage in here without having to rip apart their book, where they can be writing in their workbook and I can be reading from here. So this is valuable. It is a must-have. So if you're thinking, how can I get it cheaper? Blend it with multiple ages. That's how you can get it cheaper, but you do need your instructor's handbook. This is so valuable. It also in the beginning teaches you the process of this entire program. And you guys, it is so well done. This was written by Dr. Karen Halinga, who's a former teacher and college professor. And so she has over 30 years of experience working with children. And she started to identify that there were different stages to spelling, just like Julie Bogart has identified different stages for writing. And we've identified different stages for learning, or the classical method of education identifies different stages of the child brain development. In the same way, Dr. Halinga identified different stages in spelling and how it's not related to age, it's not related to grade, it's related to where they're at in their development and how we can teach to that stage, which is why this program is so unique. You don't need to start at level A for your kindergartner and do level B for grade 1. You could, but if your child is really struggling, if they have learning challenges, dyslexia, dysgraphia, any of those things, then you might want to start at earlier levels and work your way up. Even if you have a child who's just weak in their spelling, do not go and purchase level F because you think that that's a grade 5 or 6 level. Go and purchase the level that you think they're going to be able to do. And it helps you because if you go to the site, which is in the link below, you can actually see all of the different levels, and there are some dictation things you're going to do with your kids, and it's going to tell you if they get this many right or wrong, they need to start on which level. So that's what you're going to do to go and identify where to start your child. But it is designed and laid out in a way that we're teaching to the different spelling stages rather than to a grade or age that doesn't really mean a whole lot in the unique development of your child. Teacher prep? There is none. You literally are going to open your book and go. As soon as your child is able to read independently, they can do the work independently. And other than on day 5, where you're going to have to dictate the passage for them to write, there's really very little that you actually have to sit down and do with them, which is one of the reasons this is such a great fit for my family. How long does it take? You guys, this is my favorite thing about this program. It is designed to be done in 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes a day. That's why you can use any language arts you are using and use this as a supplement. You don't have to sit down and teach this big long lesson. You don't have to pull out and make a huge mess with a whole bunch of manipulatives. It's done in a way that is short, and you actually, for younger kids or kids that struggle or kids that have writing, okay, they're really reluctant writers, you pull out a timer, you set it on the table, you set it for 10 minutes, and when they're going to the dictation stuff, so let's say they really struggle with writing but they're ready, let's say they're grade 4 or 5, for level B or level C or level D, and now you're getting into a little bit longer dictation passages. They see this blank page and they freak out. Okay? What's unique about this is I'm going to set the timer, and I'm going to say to them, all you have to do is write for 10 minutes. At the end of 10 minutes, when this timer goes off, if you're not done, that's okay. We're going to move on. You're not going to go back and try to fill that in the next day. This helps us struggling type A personalities who want to check off all the boxes to just have a foundation in place that says, don't do that. Don't do that. Instead, we're going to continue to move forward because the same things are taught and reinforced continuously through the various levels. So if your child stops halfway through because it's been 10 minutes and they're struggling so much, no problem. It's going to be addressed again throughout the rest of the year, and they're going to get it over and over and over again, but in this really unique format. So 10 minutes a day, that also works really well for kids that are quite competitive, because if they're writing and it just gets a little boring for them, now you're setting that timer, but instead of it being a don't worry, you only have to, it's a let's see if you can do this in 10 minutes. And it really just changes the tone and sometimes gives them a little bit of a push. Now, another thing that's really unique about this program, and what I think makes it blend for me so well with Brave Writer, is it's copywork and dictation, which is totally Brave Writer in its philosophy. That is everything that I do in Brave Writer, but now I don't have to go and search for passages. So they're learning spelling in really the same way, but without me necessarily having to go and pick it all out for each individual level of where my kids are at, because I can identify their level with a simple placement test and still build in that Brave Writer philosophy. So that works really well for me. Another thing that I love is the same things that Julie talks about in Brave Writer about the positive reinforcement, rather than us picking apart our children's work, is included and talked about and taught to the instructor here in Spelling You See. So it's going to remind you as you're going through, especially the dictation passages, that at the bottom there's actually a section that is for how many words you spelled correctly. You see, we're not going to go through and mark this with a red pen and X every single word you spelled wrong. Instead, we're going to count how many words you spelled correctly. We're going to focus on the good. So it's bringing in the same philosophies that I'm so passionate about, and I've seen such results from other things that we've used like Brave Writer, but it's doing it in a way that's open, go, simple, no prep, very little teacher involvement from me, and is tailored to my kids. Now, if you have followed me for any length of time, you will know that I have 3 different learning styles in a mixture of 5 kids. My kids are all different. I have some kids with severe learning challenges, and maybe not so severe compared to somebody else, but really, really, really not at the level that they would be expected to be for their ages. And I'm not saying the word behind because we like to put it in behind or ahead, but it really is all about your child's development. So I have a child that is going into grade 5 and is probably working at more of a grade 2 or 3 level. I have a child who's in grade 4 and is definitely working at a grade 1 to 2 level, and I've got one going into grade 1 that is working at more of a grade 2, grade 3 level. So I'm dealing with so many different learning styles. I've got kinesthetic, I've got everything's got to be out of the box and hands-on. I have visual where they need to see it, and I have auditory where they need to hear it, and then add to that learning challenges as well as kind of the gifted kid thing where trying to blend all my kids is actually very difficult. When I put them in the same room, some kids are feeling like they're not good enough because they're comparing themselves to the younger ones that are excelling, or the ones who are, struggling. It can be difficult for the younger kids or the older one that I have that is more advanced, because then they get very bored if they're having to go that slowly. So what's great about this is that it's independent, it's 10 minutes a day, I can pull it out and do it, everyone gets to work at their own level, and yet I can tailor it to their specific level. So my grade 4 son is working together with my grade 1 daughter, and they're both doing level B this year. Even though it's a bit easy for my grade 4 son, they do it together, I do the dictation with them together, I get to do the actual teaching time with them together, and they work very well together. So it's been a really great partnership with working with those 2 kids, even though they're at totally different grade levels. And meanwhile, my grade 4 is building a very strong foundation. He's a very reluctant writer and gets overwhelmed, but you guys should see him. You should see him. When I pull this out and I give him his pack, he just got in the mail his new workbooks because he was still working at level A. And he put it in his backpack and he begged to do school. And that's not just like the first day, oh, it's new and shiny. No. This entire week, he has been asking to do his Spelling You See. When I say Spelling You See, my kids literally cheer. This is not an exaggeration. My kids love this program. They love it's short, it's simple, they love using their colors, they love the dictation. My younger two love the competition factor of working together and seeing who does it first. It works really well for them. My other daughter, who struggles so much, I'm able to give it something to her that she can do independently and not feel like she's so behind or that she's so singled out in some way. So it's building her confidence. My older son is being very challenged in level F, and it's been fantastic to see him actually hit something that is challenging him and pushing him forward. So all my kids, with all their different learning challenges and all their different learning styles, are excelling. And after 2 years of using this program, more for one of my kids, I still have no complaints when I pull this out. So that to me is the test of time. That to me is, I can prove to you that this works well with any learning style and with any level and with any sort of learning challenge, because I have seen it in my own house. And not only have I seen it be successful, but I've seen it be something that is still loved. And that's rare to find in a curriculum. Looking inside of it, you'll see the way that the teacher's handbook is laid out, where you have your dictation words, as well as your dictation passages, as well as, you guys, it's got all of your information for teaching. So if you are sitting down and teaching them something, then it teaches you for each lesson what you're going to be saying or how you're going to be doing that. Remember that for the younger levels, you're going to be doing more, especially if you have a grade 1, a kindergartner, grade 2, who's not reading independently. You're going to be doing it with them. But remember, it's only 10 minutes a day. There also are tips for success. There's online resources, writing skills, and everything that you need to teach you about the different levels and how to use the program. I really recommend reading it. There is a video online that's also very helpful. I recommend doing a little bit of homework before you start, even if it's just spend an hour, get to know your program, look at your instructor's handbook. That's going to help you really understand the philosophies, so you're not just open and go of go, fill this in. You're actually understanding what sets us apart and bringing in those philosophies into your teaching. Looking inside level B. Level B is great. It starts off with almost a bit of a review. So they are starting to go through and they're doing nursery rhymes, which I love about this, because what kid does not love nursery rhymes? Again, especially if you have a child that struggles or has dyslexia or dysgraphia or any sort of learning struggle. Now when you put it to rhythm and rhyme, and some nursery rhymes even have songs, all of a sudden you're accessing all different parts of the brain and blending it all together to really make the connection point stick. So level B is all nursery rhymes, and I love it. Level C was so much fun. My daughter's doing it this year because it's all nonfiction information passages about animals, which my kids also love. So sticking with level B, they're going to go through, they're going to say the rhyme together, and we're going to clap it in rhythm. We're going to read it together slowly, and they're going to point to each word as I read. So what I found has been super side bonus of this program is that my younger kids are building in phonics together with this. They're learning how to break apart and segment words. They're learning how to clap and figure out the different blends and the rhythms and all different things. They are also pointing out words as we're reading, so they're picking up sight words and all different things. And I've seen my kids reading explode through a spelling program, which is just so cool. And here, because now we're in the beginning, and working through, they're going to be starting to mark different things in the passage. Now they are going into copywork. Level A, they're not copying passages. This starts in level B, so they're copying the passage, but the next page is reinforcing their letters, and they're going to be doing some dictation. So I'm going to read them some simple 3-letter words, and they're going to write them. This entire book is laid out that whole way. Part 1 of the program, the first page is short copywork passages and marking, and then the second part is dictation. So it's laid out. There are 5 days a week. The first day, they're going to be doing their marking and copywork. The second day, they're marking the same passage, and they are doing copywork on a different section. The third day, they are marking their passage, and they are copying the words. And every day, we're looking at different things. We're picking out different things, and they're having to mark them with their colored pencils, which really helps for our hands-on kids and our visual kids to start to see and make the connection with what they're learning. Day 4, they're doing the same thing. They're marking and they are copying and doing dictation. And day 5, they're doing the same thing. So that's a week in part 1 of level B. What's different is when we get into part 2, now we're getting into the actual flow of most of the rest of the spelling you see levels. So the flow of these is they're going to, on the first page here, they're reading and they're copying. Page 2, okay, they're reading and they're copying, they're marking different vowel chunks. Day 3, marking and copying. Day 4, we have no rule day, which is such a fun addition to this program. Basically, it's a free write. So your kids are gonna draw a picture and they can either do it gives them some direction if they need direction. For our kids, it will say draw a picture of the rhyme and write your own story or write about this. So it gives them a bit of direction, or it's no rules. They can do whatever they want. So it gives them the space and they have a little bit of a break from the structure to just have some fun, okay? And then the last day is now your dictation. So I'm gonna read you the passage and you are going to write it. They take their time, you set out the timer, and that's generally the layout. Let's compare that with level F. Now level F, remember, is almost at the end. So we're getting into advanced spelling. Level G is where it finishes. So in our instructor's handbook, there is a lot more instruction built in, okay? So you'll see that there is lesson by lesson instructions, and it goes into how to use it and everything else that you need to use the program, as well as all of your different markings. So what's great about that is that now they're marking full paragraphs. It gets much more intensive, and rather than you having to read it and figure out what they're supposed to be, you can actually look here and you're able to quickly identify and mark and see if they've caught everything that they were supposed to catch within the paragraph. All right, so let's compare that with level F. If we look at level F, week 1, and then I'm going to show you in part 2, the last week of the entire year, to give you a good idea of the layout, how it changes, and how much more in depth it gets once you're getting into more advanced spelling. So week 1, they're going to read the passage aloud, and they're going to mark the vowel chunks that are listed. Now they're going into copywork, and this is obviously a lot more copywork than what they're doing in level A, B, C, all the way up. So it gets much more advanced in the level of writing that is expected, but because you've worked with your child at their level, this is not overwhelming because they've worked their way up to that and they know that it's just going to take them 10 minutes. So 1B, they're doing the same thing, reading it aloud, finding different vowel chunks, and copywork. Day 3, they're reading it aloud. They're going to look for rhyming words with the same letter patterns. They're going to do their copywork. Okay, day 4, they're going to read the passage aloud, find the vowel chunks, and they're going to do their first dictation. So now I'm going to read to my son, and he is going to have to write it down from memory of his learning his spelling words. And then the last day is, again, they're reading it aloud and they're doing their second dictation. So it is still repetition, but instead of doing it in a list format, we're doing it in a story, information, context format so that our kids can actually remember and attach meaning to the words that they're learning how to write. So let's look in level F, part 2, the very last week. So we're going to go to 36. It is a 5-day-a-week program. So 36A, they're going to read it aloud. Now there's a lot more marking required. So they have to mark the vowel chunks yellow, the consonant chunks blue, the bossy R chunks purple, the tricky Y guy green, endings pink or red, and silent letters orange. This is where it's very helpful to look in your instructor's handbook to see if they've marked everything that they were supposed to. Now they're going to go through and do copywork. Day 2, same thing, marking and copywork. Day 3, okay, marking and copywork. Day 4, marking and their first dictation. And day 5 is marking and their second dictation. What I loved about level F and the reason that my son is really enjoying it is because it is all nonfiction information about ancient achievements, which is just so cool because now you're blending in, you know, for level C, for example, with Wild Tales, you're blending in science with your spelling. And now we're blending in history with our spelling, which is just so fun. It's such a unique program. There is nothing else that I've seen like it out there. It helps your kids to develop spelling proficiency. So we're trying to get into the place where they are proficient to the point of probably a better speller than most adults. So if you take your kids through this program, they are going to be strong spellers. You're setting them up for their life, and it just is so well done in a way that your kids won't even realize what they're doing. They're going to enjoy it, and it's just phenomenal. So if you want more information, go take the placement test. It's basically dictation passage. You're going to read to your kids and have them write. Go check it out. There are samples and all sorts of information. There's videos from Dr. Halinga that explain more of the spelling stages and how those work, and to help you learn more about the program, see what it looks like, and figure out if it's a good fit for your family. I hope you enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for more curriculum reviews, homeschool information, and random videos over here at Homeschool On.